Gravel sliced into Emma's feet as she ran, her breath ragged and sharp. She thought the night would hide her, but the shadows followed. The air was thick with dread, and every step echoed like a drumbeat of doom. She whispered, "Please, just let me out," though no one listened. Behind her, Samuel's voice rose, calm and cruel, promising that obedience was the only salvation. She felt the iron taste of fear as the locked gate loomed ahead, its rusted bars like the teeth of a monster. Michael whispered in the dark, "You can't run, Emma. They'll never let you go." She stumbled, stones digging into her palms, while the chant of the cult swelled, deep and thunderous, like a storm closing in. The enforcer's boots cracked against the earth, deliberate, hunting. Emma pressed her forehead to the bars, begging herself not to cry. Her heart screamed louder than her voice. She turned, and in the shadows, Ruth's pale face appeared, silent, watching, her eyes glassy with terror. For a moment Emma believed Ruth might help, but the gaze was empty, a mirror of despair. The air grew colder, the night heavier. The whisper returned, "The only way out is betrayal." Emma pressed her back against the gate, whispering prayers she no longer believed in. Samuel's voice echoed, "Obedience is freedom." The cult's chant rattled her bones. Ruth lingered in shadows, unmoving, her silence heavier than screams. Michael crouched beside Emma, his whisper sharp, "They'll break you before they let you go." The enforcer's boots drew closer. Emma's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she clutched her bleeding hands tighter, praying for strength. The cult's chant shifted, louder, fevered. Samuel raised both hands, declaring, "Her soul is chained to us forever." Emma's chest tightened as Ruth's haunted eyes caught hers. Emma whispered, "Help me," but Ruth only looked away. Emma's strength faltered as the enforcer stopped before her, steel rod glistening. Samuel's voice thundered, "The gates do not open without sacrifice." Emma's mind screamed, but her lips whispered, "Not like this." The shadows swallowed her plea. Emma remembered the first time she entered the compound. The gates did not seem like prison bars then, but open arms. Samuel said, "You are home now." His voice wrapped around her like honey, sweet yet binding. She was tired of running from loneliness, aching for a family that never judged, never left. Michael smiled softly that day, whispering, "Here no one abandons you." Emma's chest had filled with fragile hope, though shadows already lingered beneath their kindness. Ruth brushed her hand gently against Emma's, whispering, "You'll be safe here." She wanted to believe it, wanted to rest. The walls seemed protective, not suffocating. Torchlight flickered warmly, like a hearth. Emma laughed for the first time in months, unaware it was the laugh of someone stepping into chains. Samuel watched with calm eyes, a smile that never reached his soul. He whispered, "All wounds heal here if you obey." The promise twisted around her heart, pulling her deeper. Emma sat by the fire that first night, surrounded by faces glowing with devotion. Children clapped hands to songs, women swayed with closed eyes, and Samuel raised his voice above the chants. "We are family," he declared. "We are chosen." Emma felt tears rise, not from fear but from longing. She whispered, "Maybe this is where I belong." Michael leaned close, his breath warm, saying, "You'll see, Emma. Nothing hurts here." Ruth smiled faintly, though her eyes carried a shadow of doubt. The fire cracked, sparks rising like prayers. Emma hugged her knees, letting warmth seep into her bones. She forgot the cold of the outside world, the loneliness that once gnawed at her. She thought she had finally found love, safety, home. Days turned into rituals. Samuel spoke of rebirth, of discarding the past. Emma listened, desperate for renewal. He said, "Your pain ends when your obedience begins." She repeated the words until they felt like her own. Michael encouraged her, whispering, "It's easier if you surrender." Ruth clutched her hand, murmuring, "We're in this together." The chants each morning became her heartbeat. The smell of incense, the feel of dirt on her knees, the echo of Samuel's commands, they filled her days. She told herself it was healing, But somewhere in her chest, a small voice trembled, asking if she had only traded one prison for another. Emma remembered laughter when Samuel placed a wreath of flowers on her head, calling her daughter of light. She felt chosen, special, like wounds were healing. Michael clapped, whispering, "See, you're one of us now." Ruth smiled faintly, tears glimmering in her eyes, whispering, "He chose you." Emma's cheeks flushed with warmth, her chest aching with longing for this acceptance. Samuel's gaze lingered too long, smile sharp at the edges, but Emma did not see it. She only saw the family she had craved, the belonging she thought she found. The nights grew quieter, yet heavier. Emma lay awake on straw bedding, listening to whispers of prayers beyond the walls. She hugged herself, whispering, "This is good, this is safe." But the silence pressed on her chest. Michael's words replayed in her mind, "Nothing hurts here," yet she remembered the locked gate. Ruth turned on her mat, facing away, shoulders trembling. Samuel's voice drifted in from the prayer hall, steady and commanding, even when he wasn't there. Emma closed her eyes, letting herself believe for one more night. She didn't know that hope had already been stolen, disguised as love. Morning began with the clang of a bell, its echo heavy against Emma's chest. She stumbled from her mat, knees aching. Samuel's voice filled the hall. "Rise, my children, purity waits." Emma whispered, "I am ready," though she feared her own words. Ruth stood near her, face pale, lips pressed thin. Michael placed a hand on Emma's shoulder, murmuring, "Don't resist, it's easier." They knelt on stone, foreheads pressed to cold ground, incense burning their lungs. Samuel's chant rose higher, "Your will is gone, my will is yours." Emma's heartbeat grew slower, buried beneath the rhythm of obedience. She told herself this was healing, yet every bow felt like another chain tightening. Later, punishment echoed through the courtyard. A boy no older than 12 cried as the enforcer raised his rod. Samuel declared, "Disobedience rots the soul." Emma flinched with each strike, her stomach twisting. Ruth turned away, whispering, "I can't watch." Michael forced himself to remain still, jaw clenched, whispering, "This keeps us safe." Emma's nails dug into her palms. She wanted to shout, but fear sealed her throat. The chant of the others grew louder, drowning the boys' cries. Samuel's smile cut through the air like a blade. Emma whispered, "This isn't safety," though no one heard. That night, silence hung heavy. Emma whispered to Ruth, "Why doesn't anyone stop him?" Ruth's eyes glistened, voice trembling, "Because we're already broken." Michael paced nearby, whispering, "You speak too loudly." The enforcer's shadow passed outside, boots striking ground like a warning. Samuel's chant echoed faintly from his chamber, words wrapping around them even in absence. Emma hugged her knees, whispering to herself, "This can't be life." The air was thick with smoke and fear, each breath like swallowing ash. Her chest ached with longing for freedom she could not name. Samuel began demanding sacrifices of trust. He ordered members to confess secrets before the group. Emma's voice trembled as she admitted her fear of never belonging. Samuel smiled coldly, "Fear is weakness, but obedience cures." Ruth confessed she once dreamed of escape, her words met with gasps. Samuel's eyes narrowed, "Desire for freedom is poison." Ruth shrank under the stairs, face pale. Michael whispered, "You shouldn't have said that." Emma clenched her fists, feeling the net of suspicion tighten around them. Samuel's voice rose, commanding, "We see each other, we break each other, we rebuild as mine." Emma sat alone after the ritual, mind racing. She whispered, "They strip us piece by piece." Ruth approached, voice shaking, "I should not have spoken." Emma touched her arm gently, "You only told the truth." Michael entered, sharp voice, "Truth is death here, don't risk it." The enforcer's footsteps echoed in distance, deliberate, watching. Samuel's laughter drifted faintly, cruel and satisfied. Emma's chest tightened, a storm of anger and despair swirling within. She whispered, "One day I'll find a way out." The words shook in her throat, but they felt like the only truth she still owned. The night carried a strange weight, silence hanging like chains. Samuel summoned them to the inner chamber, his smile too wide, his eyes too dark. He said, "The truth comes only when you are ready." Emma's breath caught, unease pressing deep. Ruth stood trembling, whispering, "Something is wrong." Michael muttered, "Stay silent." The enforcer barred the door with heavy arms crossed, steel rod gleaming. Samuel's hand caressed golden relics on the altar. Voice soft, "You thought I was chosen by heaven, but heaven was never here." His words slithered like poison. Emma's heart cracked, whispering, "You lied." Samuel's laughter filled the chamber, cruel and sharp. "I lied to save you from yourselves." The torches flickered violently, shadows bending with his words. Emma's chest burned as the first fracture of truth shattered her belief. Samuel's voice grew sharper, cutting into the air. "Power is not given, it is taken," he declared. He lifted a chalice, filled not with wine, but blood. Emma gagged, whispering, "This isn't salvation." Ruth's face twisted, tears streaming. Michael pressed his fists to his mouth, whispering, "Don't resist." Samuel pointed at Emma, his eyes aflame. "Freedom is betrayal. If you wish to leave, betray the one beside you." The hall gasped, chants faltering. Ruth's hands trembled violently, whispering, "He cannot mean it." The enforcer stepped forward, rod scraping stone, voice low, "The order stands." Emma's chest crushed under the revelation, every bond twisted into weaponry. The only door out stood behind the price of trust. The air thickened with whispers as the cult obeyed Samuel's call. He demanded proof of loyalty, pointing at Emma and Ruth. "One must fall for the other to rise," he hissed. Ruth's lips quivered as she whispered, "I cannot." Emma reached for her, desperate, "We can fight." But Ruth's tears fell harder, her gaze drawn towards Samuel's approving smile. Michael gritted his teeth, whispering, "Don't choose, Ruth." Samuel's voice thundered, "Betrayal is salvation." Ruth's body shook as she muttered, "Forgive me, Emma." Emma's chest shattered, her cries swallowed by chants resuming louder, feverish, demanding sacrifice. The enforcer's shadow loomed closer, ready to strike should hesitation remain. Ruth stepped forward, her body shaking as though pulled by invisible chains. She whispered again, "Forgive me." Her hand lifted, pointing toward Emma. Gasps echoed through the hall, chants breaking into fever. Samuel's eyes gleamed, his voice soft as silk. "She chooses salvation through betrayal." Emma stumbled back, whispering, "No, Ruth, no." Michael rushed forward, but the enforcer shoved him down, steel rod grazing his shoulder. Ruth's sobs broke through the chants, face streaked with anguish. Samuel's laughter rippled through the chamber, cruel and victorious. The weight of betrayal fell on Emma like a blade. Emma's world crumbled in silence that followed. Samuel raised his hand, commanding stillness. "Freedom is earned through loss," he said coldly. Ruth collapsed, sobbing, whispering, "I had no choice." Emma's voice cracked, "You chose obedience over me." Michael stared at them, rage and grief tearing his face. The enforcer dragged him back, forcing him still. Samuel spread his arms, declaring, "This is the way of the chosen." Emma's heart broke not from Samuel's cruelty, but from Ruth's betrayal. Her last whisper burned inside her chest. "If the only way out is betrayal, then I will not break." Darkness wrapped the compound as Samuel commanded silence. He declared, "Tonight obedience is tested." Emma's heart thrashed as the enforcer dragged her into the circle. Ruth's sobs echoed, whispering, "I'm sorry." Michael clenched his fists, whispering sharply, "This ends tonight." Samuel's voice rose, "She will either submit or vanish." Emma's chest heaved, and she whispered, "I will not kneel again." Gasps spread among the crowd. The enforcer's grip tightened, voice low, "Defy him, and you die." Emma's eyes burned, staring at Samuel. Torches swayed, flames bending as if pulled by tension. Ruth's gaze broke, too heavy with guilt. Michael's whisper turned into a growl, "Run when I move." The circle roared with chants as Emma dropped to her knees, dirt biting her skin. Samuel leaned closer, voice venomous, "Betray one, or you are lost." Emma whispered, "I'll betray no one." The enforcer raised his rod high, waiting for command. Ruth cried out, "Stop!" but Samuel's smile only widened. Michael surged forward, shouting, "Enough!" The enforcer's blow missed him by inches as chaos broke. Emma crawled toward the gate, heart screaming, "This is my chance." The torches shook as Chance turned frantic, half in worship, half in fear. Samuel's voice thundered, "She cannot leave alive." Emma's body screamed with exhaustion as she sprinted through the courtyard, bare feet cutting open again. Michael followed, whispering, "Keep running." The enforcer bellowed, boots pounding behind them. Ruth remained frozen, voice breaking, "Don't leave me." Samuel shouted, "Let her run. Betrayal is her path." Emma glanced back, torn, whispering, "Ruth, come." Ruth shook her head, face pale, chained by guilt. The enforcer's rod slammed into stone, sparks flying. Michael shoved Emma forward, whispering, "Freedom or nothing." The night howled with smoke, fire, and betrayal, and Emma's pulse became the rhythm of survival. Emma and Michael reached the iron gate. She clutched it, breath ragged, whispering, "It's still locked." Samuel's laughter echoed, "The gate opens only with betrayal." Ruth's voice carried faintly, "I already betrayed you." Emma's tears burned, rage twisting inside her. Michael smashed against the lock, grunting, "We make our own way out." The enforcer drew closer, rod ready to strike. Emma grabbed a stone, whispering, "Not this time." She hurled it into torchlight, sparks bursting. Shadows twisted as Chance grew frenzied. Her heart pounded. This was the moment between freedom and death. The clash came like thunder. The enforcer's rod struck downward, but Michael blocked it with a desperate shove. Emma screamed, "No more chains." She kicked the gate with all her strength, rust cracking, hinges screaming. Samuel roared, "She cannot escape." Ruth fell to her knees, sobbing, "I can't stop her." The rod scraped sparks as Michael forced it away, his face contorted with rage. Emma's last push burst the gate open, night spilling in like salvation. She gasped, "Freedom," her voice breaking. Behind her, Chance turned to shrieks as Samuel's voice thundered, "She will carry betrayal forever." Emma stumbled beyond the gate, gravel slicing deeper into her feet. Night air rushed cold into her lungs, freedom, bitter, and sharp. Behind her, Samuel's voice echoed, "She carries our chains." She pressed her palms to her ears, whispering, "Not anymore." Michael limped behind, blood streaking his arm. He muttered, "Keep moving, don't look back." Ruth's wail carried faintly, "Forgive me," but Emma shut her eyes, refusing to turn. The forest loomed ahead, trees swaying like shadows ready to swallow them whole. The cult's chants bled into the night until they were only memory, yet Emma's chest still trembled, bound by echoes. They collapsed under the trees, breath ragged. Emma whispered, "We made it out." Michael grimaced, "We're not safe yet." His hands trembled as he pressed his wound. Ruth's voice haunted Emma's mind, "I had no choice." Emma clutched her chest, whispering, "But she did." The night was quiet now, broken only by rustling leaves. Emma tilted her head back, staring at stars she hadn't seen in months. "They feel unreal," she whispered. Michael replied, "They've always been there, you just forgot." A sob escaped Emma, half relief, half grief. She muttered, "We are free but broken." Emma drifted into restless sleep, haunted by images of torches and chanting. She dreamt of Ruth's face, whispering, "Forgive me," again and again. She woke with a scream, sweat damp on her skin. Michael stirred, whispering, "They can't reach us here." Emma pressed her face into her knees, trembling, "But they live inside me." Her mind replayed Samuel's laughter, the enforcer's steps, the locked gate that mocked her. Michael laid a hand on her shoulder, whispering, "You survived. That's what matters." Emma's voice cracked. "Survival isn't freedom." Silence grew heavy, stars flickering above as if watching in judgment. At dawn, birds sang weakly, though their notes felt foreign. Emma rose slowly, body aching. She whispered, "The world feels strange." Michael nodded, grimacing, "Because we left pieces of ourselves behind." Emma picked up a twig, breaking it between trembling fingers. She muttered, "I hear them still chanting." Michael replied, "That's what they wanted, to echo forever." Emma turned toward the rising sun, light burning against her damp cheeks. She whispered, "I want to believe it's over." Michael sighed, "It isn't over, but it's no longer theirs." They walked slowly toward the distant road. Emma whispered, "What if no one believes us?" Michael replied, "We'll still know we're alive." She stared at the horizon, voice breaking, alive, but scarred. His hand brushed hers briefly, a fragile tether to the world outside chains. Behind them the forest swallowed the compound, yet its shadow stretched far. Emma whispered, "Freedom doesn't erase the past." Michael nodded, "No, but it gives us tomorrow." Tears slid down Emma's cheeks as the sun rose higher. She whispered again, "Tomorrow," holding the word like a fragile promise. Emma's pace slowed as the road stretched before her, endless and gray under the pale morning sky. Her chest rose and fell unevenly, as if her body refused to trust the open air. She whispered, "Why does it feel like they're still behind me?" Her voice cracked, trembling with exhaustion. Michael walked beside her, his shoulders tense, blood dried on his torn sleeve. He glanced at her with eyes heavy from too many nights of running, his tone low and measured, because chains don't break just because the lock is gone. Emma hugged herself tightly, arms pressing against her ribs like a shield, though no one chased her now. The silence of the road mocked her with its emptiness. She thought she heard faint chanting carried on the breeze, voices that no longer existed here. "I hear them still," she whispered again, the words falling from her lips like stones. Michael touched her arm gently, a fleeting gesture of reassurance, murmuring, "That's not them anymore. That's the scar they left behind." Emma turned her face away from him, unable to speak, because even as his words tried to comfort, the whispers lingered, clawing at the edges of her mind, promising they would never be gone. They reached a bridge of weathered wood, its planks creaking under their weight as if burdened by their presence. Emma slowed at the center, fingers curling tightly around the splintered railing. She whispered, "If I keep walking, maybe I'll forget." Her eyes stayed locked on the rushing water below, the roar loud enough to drown her voice. Michael's expression hardened, jaw tight, voice low. Forgetting isn't the same as healing. Emma blinked against the spray of river mist, her grip trembling. She closed her eyes, hearing Ruth's voice again, a ghost pressed into her ears. "Forgive me." Emma whispered the same words aloud, testing them, but they fell flat, bitter, like ashes coating her tongue. She shook her head violently, eyes opening wide, refusing the taste of betrayal disguised as repentance. Michael leaned closer, speaking softly but firmly, "You don't owe her forgiveness." Emma's chest heaved, her breath uneven as she muttered, "Then I owe myself the truth." Her words carried into the roar of the river, vanishing as quickly as they left her lips. She gripped the railing tighter, splinters digging into her skin, and stared into the current below, watching how easily it carried broken things away. The road wound into a clearing, the sky above fractured with patches of sunlight breaking through dark clouds. Emma's voice trembled as she asked, "What if they find us?" Her hands shook at her sides, fingers twitching with fear. Michael's answer was sharp, instinctive. "Then we keep running." His eyes darted to the trees as if expecting shadows to emerge. Emma stopped, staring at him with exhaustion hollowing her face, whispering, "I'm tired of running." Her words cracked like dry branches underfoot. Michael lowered his gaze, shoulders slumping as if admitting his own defeat, and murmured, "So am I." Silence filled the space between them, heavier than the cult's chants ever were. Emma tilted her face upward, eyes catching the fragile golden light filtering through clouds. She whispered, "I don't want to live in fear anymore." Michael's response came after a pause, voice hoarse, "Then we fight fear by surviving." The sunlight grew brighter, burning against Emma's damp cheeks. She let the warmth sting, strange but grounding, a reminder that dawn could rise even after endless nights. Yet in her chest, the whispers curled, reminding her that survival was only the beginning of the battle. A farmhouse appeared in the distance, its chimney smoke rising into the pale morning. Emma's steps slowed, her chest tightening with longing and dread. She whispered, "Do we dare ask for help?" Michael's jaw tensed, voice low, "We need it, but we can't trust anyone." They both stopped at the edge of the dirt path leading to the house. Emma stared at the building, its windows glowing with faint warmth, the sound of children's laughter drifting faintly through the air. Her breath caught in her throat, her heart aching with the memory of laughter twisted into chants. She whispered, "It sounds unreal." Michael's eyes softened, his tone bitter but honest. "That's because we've forgotten what real feels like." Emma's gaze lingered on the farmhouse, its ordinary simplicity overwhelming her. Every fiber of her body wanted to collapse against its door, to believe in a world that did not demand sacrifice. She whispered, "I don't want to forget again." Her steps toward the house felt heavy, like each one dragged invisible chains she hadn't fully escaped. Yet the sound of laughter lingered, fragile proof of something worth reaching. Emma stopped just before the farmhouse door, breath shallow, hand trembling as it hovered above the wood. She whispered, "What if freedom is just another lie?" Michael's voice was steady but heavy. "Then it's our lie now." Emma's lips quivered as tears slid freely down her cheeks. She pressed her hand against the frame, the rough grain grounding her in a world that felt too fragile. She whispered, "I still hear them chanting in my dreams." Her confession shivered into the silence, carried away by the morning breeze. Michael stood close behind her, his silence heavier than any promise. He did not try to deny her words, because he too carried echoes. The wind shifted, stirring her hair, carrying faint sounds that might have been memory, or perhaps the last remnants of the cult dissolving into air. Emma closed her eyes, pressing her forehead against the door, whispering, "But I walked out alive." Her voice cracked like glass, final but fragile, lingering in the quiet morning. The words tasted like both victory and curse, but they were hers, and that was enough.